afternoon. As you can tell, I have a special guest with me this evening. We are so glad that you're here to tune in at First Baptist Church Bruce. I have with me John Martin, the Director of Men's Ministry for Mississippi Baptist Convention. So welcome, John.
Thank you, sir. Glad to be here.
So this video is for mainly our folks at home watching, and we will hope to kind of bring John on to explain to you why you have a job, right?
Certainly. That's right.
So Southern Baptist, one of the things that we believe in is we believe in cooperation.
That's right, yeah.
So what that means for us is that we believe that you and I are better together, even if we're not in the same church.
Right.
That churches cooperating with churches can help to accomplish the commission that God has given us.
That's right, yeah.
So you are supported by our cooperative program funds.
That's right.
So every time you give to First Baptist Bruce, a portion of that money goes to the Mississippi Baptist.
That's right.
And funds the ministry that you help us do.
Right, that's right. Yeah, and then beyond Mississippi Baptist, once your cooperative program monies come to the Mississippi Baptist Convention, a portion of it stays in the state and does lots of ministries inside the state, certainly beyond men's ministry, but collegiate ministries, Baptist student unions, discipleship, Sunday school, missions, all of those things we could talk about. And then another portion of it leaves the state and goes to the national convention in Nashville, and then it's divided up there among institutions, seminaries, convention boards, and the like.
So one of the things that I think is helpful is when you give $1 in the offering plate, you know that money is going to support your local church for us to do ministries.
Yeah.
You may know that money is going to help missionaries in the field. You know that it's going to the International Mission Board for our international missionaries. You know it's going to North American missionaries.
Yeah.
You may not know what else it's doing.
Yeah, sure.
And to be honest with you, I think that the giving that you and I do toward the Mississippi Baptist is worth the return.
Yeah.
The problem is that many church members don't know what that return is.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to have you on.
Sure. I'm glad that you feel like it's worth the return.
I
appreciate that. Yeah. So in particular, the ministries that I get to play a role in, they're really fourfold. It's the way I like to think about it. First of all, my office handles discipleship for men's ministry. So there is discipleship that men participate in small groups and that sort of thing. And so we walk alongside those churches to help encourage them and resource them to appropriately disciple the men in their churches. Now that spans all age brackets, right? So we do focus on adult men, and we talk about churches, how they can kind of begin discipleship processes for their men, maybe a pathway even they could think about putting their men through as they disciple them. But it begins way before that as well. So we talk about missions discipleship in particular in our office. That talks about royal ambassadors, which some churches are doing. First Baptist Bruce still does and does well. Challengers is the youth version of missions discipleship. And so all of that falls inside of our office. But beyond kind of being a catalyst for discipleship, men's discipleship, we also we do chaplaincy out of our office. So we have a part-time consultant who works with the chaplains all around the state. And when we talk about chaplaincy, we're talking about military chaplains, we're talking about law enforcement, first responders, basically, chaplaincy. We're talking about hospital chaplains, even industrial chaplains. So there are these large companies that exist and see the value of investing in the spiritual lives of the people that work for them, and so they have chaplains as well. So our office resources, trains, and helps those chaplains in our state. You know, the thing about chaplaincy is, especially when you start talking about military, is our military is required to provide chaplains.
Right.
So there's going to be a chaplain attached to every military group that's out there, and so what we want to do is we want to try our best to make many of them, we would love for all of them to be Christian chaplains. Right. Especially we would love for them all to be Mississippi Baptist chaplains or Southern Baptist chaplains. So we just walk alongside with those chaplains and encourage them, and actually also try to create an opportunity for calling into that ministry.
Right.
So because, you know, when we think about calling out the called, which is something that's become popular in Southern Baptist circles these days, you know, we don't really talk about a calling into chaplaincy.
Right.
But yet it's a it's a vital ministry that people can have and be
Right.
involved in. And so we talk about those things as well. So catalyst for discipleship, chaplaincy. Also, my office relates to Central Hills,
Okay.
which Central Hills is a camping facility that is in our state. It's in Kosciuszko, Mississippi, and we have almost 1,000 acres in Kosciuszko where we offer summer camps. Initially, Central Hills began as a Royal Ambassador camp, but over time that has changed. Our purpose has changed, and so now we do co-ed camps during the summer. During the off season, which is everything but summer, we do disciple nows for churches and associations and that sort of thing. So my office relates to those that work there. We have a program director and a manager there at Central Hills that do the day-to-day operations. So we work with Central Hills as well. And the last thing that my office mainly handles is the criminal justice ministry. So this ties into the chaplaincy work, but it's bigger than that. So we resource chaplains inside of jails, local jails. So there are people that come and have effective ministries in the local jail system inside of our state, and we're grateful for them. But in addition to that, we also walk alongside a Department of Corrections in our state, and we, with the partnership to the North American Mission Board, through the New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary, through New Orleans, have extension centers for the seminary in two of the largest prisons in our state, and that would be Parchman and Central Mississippi Correctional Facility. So we provide a bachelor's equivalent seminary degree through those two institutions, Parchman and Central Mississippi, that's funded completely through Margaret Lackey State Offering. So everything that is given to the Margaret Lackey State Offering that my office receives goes to the criminal justice ministry, and that is the seminary training that is in those two institutions. And so once an inmate goes through the 5-year program for a bachelor's degree in seminary, we then, through the blessing of the Department of Corrections, are able to pick those guys and gals up and move them to other cell blocks or other prisons inside of our state so that they can be a witness, a gospel witness, in wherever it is that the Lord places them. So that's a quick rundown just of my office.
Right.
That's 4 areas that, when you put $1 inside the offering plate, it moves beyond Bruce,
Right.
but it moves beyond Bruce for the sake of Bruce, right? I
That's
mean, it's
right.
a missionary and a mission effort that even First Baptist Bruce is able to play a role in because of their cooperative
Right.
giving. And again, it goes on and on and on, right? Beyond
And here's what I love about that. Of course, obviously, men's ministry is one department
That's
of
right.
Mississippi Baptist work.
That's right.
But here's what I love about that. We have several people at home that watch. Some of them are able to come.
Yeah.
Some of them are not able to come. And every one of them has burdens on their heart,
Yeah.
callings on their hearts, maybe things that they were involved in.
Yeah.
I know of. I know some folks may have been really heavily involved in the children's ministry here at
Yeah.
Bruce several years ago.
Yeah.
Well, now maybe they're at home and they think, well, I'd love to still support children's ministry in some way.
Right, yeah, sure.
Well, they do.
They do,
They do.
absolutely.
Obviously, we love when people get hands-on with things.
Yeah, right.
But goodness, there could be a grandfather at home that just has a burden for the prison system,
Yeah, right.
and a burden for those prisoners, and says, what can I do?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, one, you know that through your offering, you are already helping to support that.
That's
the
right.
gospel go forth, whether
Absolutely.
it be camps or criminal justice.
Yeah.
Your giving is what fuels mission.
Yeah, yeah. There's no doubt. Mississippi Baptists are made up of somewhere between 1,900 and 2,100 churches in our state, most of which are churches that are less than 100 on any given Sunday morning. And I know churches that maybe are less than 100 think, well, what could we do? Like what can we even give? Well, it's those churches of less than 100 in our state that are doing the bulk of the support cooperatively. So, you can't work inside of Parchman, Central Mississippi, and South Mississippi
Right.
as one church. But together, with our money thrown together and then intentionally being spent on the side of the convention, you can do great things. And it's not just Mississippi Baptist, right? That's what we believe about the International Mission Board.
Yeah.
So can Bruce send missionaries literally all over the world to to countries that are closed,
Right.
to people who have never heard the gospel before. You might could send one missionary
Right.
with your budget every year, but you don't have to do that, right? So the money that's given, pooled together, is able to take the gospel a lot farther than we would be able to take it if we were not cooperative. And that's why, it's so important for us to be reminded of this cooperative effort that we have. We need to constantly keep that on the forefront, because we can do, and I know this is cliche and it's probably oversaid, we say it too much, but we can do more together than we can do on our own. And it's still true, even though it's cliche.
Well, that's the thing. I think 1921 was a massive year for Southern Baptist. We were gathering together for our annual convention. It was in Memphis, Tennessee, I believe.
No idea.
And then in Memphis, Tennessee, I remember 1921. You don't remember 1921?
No, I don't.
They gathered. They had one massive issue that they wanted to deal with.
Yeah.
And they had a couple other things, but they had one really big one that was going on today, and that was evolution in schools.
Yeah.
There was a big fervor about that, and Southern Baptists wanted to put their flag in the sand, if you will, to show where they stood on that. But there was other problems that were going on within Southern Baptist life. Just for a quick history lesson, one of them was, before 1921, we didn't have a good way to fund the missions we wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so what that looked like is that we believed in theological education.
Yeah.
So we had the Southern Baptist Theological Seminary in Louisville, Kentucky, and then shortly after that, New Orleans Baptist Institute, which now is New Orleans Theological Seminary, was founded. Southwestern Theological Seminary was founded. But what we found is that we didn't have a good way to send missionaries and support students among the other things we wanted to do.
Yeah.
The way that we raised money was we'd show up for church and we'd have a messenger from Southern Seminary saying, today,
give us money.
Can I take up an offering today?
Yeah.
And then the next week we'd have someone there from the International Mission Board, and we'd have to say, I'm sorry, we just took up a special offering.
Right.
And it was largely inefficient.
Yeah, sure.
And so in the 1921 meeting, there were two very important things that passed. One of them was the Baptist Faith and Message. It was our first doctrinal statement of what we believed. The second one that was incredibly important was the cooperative program.
Yeah, sure.
We believe we can do more together.
Yeah.
Bruce cannot support 1,200 missionaries by itself. But guess what?
Yeah.
You have, at home, you may know that you have 1,200 missionaries.
That's right.
That every one of them are proclaiming the good news of Jesus. And people are being saved.
Yeah, and the way you even say that, I think is really important for us to be reminded that I do, in fact, even today when you introduced me to the group that I spoke with at lunch, you said, he works for you. And that's legitimate.
Yeah.
Like we, those of us that serve the Mississippi Baptist Convention Board, we work for the local church that's actually sending the money to do the ministry. And the same is true for those thousands of missionaries that are in Canada and United States, those thousands of missionaries that are all over the world. You can claim without any hesitation that they are yours.
Absolutely.
Right? And that you help send them. And so I think that ownership, not to be prideful, but it's something to be proud of.
Absolutely.
Together we can be proud that we're having a gospel impact that's making a difference. And look, I know that we're not everywhere we want to be, right? I mean, even internationally, we're not everywhere we want to be. There are millions of people that have yet to hear the gospel of Jesus, right? And so that even again reminds us of the importance of the cooperation. We got to keep giving together in order to reach those unreached people groups, and in order to minister to those prisoners that are coming in. Even today, there'll be men and women that will be entered into the prison system, and so we want to continue to minister to them. We want to continue to invest in them, but in order to do that, we have to have ownership inside of the giving, and we have to continue to give. So, not to sound like a salesman, but giving has to be a vital part of what we do.
That's before my wife Jordan and I got married. Actually, that summer that I asked her to marry me, she worked at Garraway.
Yeah, sure.
And she's still a big fan of Garraway. In fact, it's no surprise that when John came today, she was wearing a Garraway shirt, and I wonder how much of that was her.
She said it wasn't
competing.
intentional.
She said it wasn't intentional. But I remember going to pick her up one day from summer camp. She'd been there working all week, and I got to pick her up for the weekend and take her home. And as I pulled up, I joked with her. I said, "I'm about to go jump in the pool real quick." She said, "What?" I said, "It was a hot summer day. I want to go jump in my pool."
Yeah.
She said, "Whose pool?" I said, I give to the cooperative
That's
program.
right. Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
no.
My
but
pool.
There is a sense of ownership. The
Yeah,
sense
sure.
of, and here's what I mean. It's not sharing in. It's not so much sharing in the glory
Yeah.
as it is championing what God is doing.
Yeah, sure.
So you mentioned
Sure.
4 areas, and those 4
Yeah.
areas, because of you helping to resource a church in Kosciuszko
Yeah.
to do a more effective men's ministry,
Yeah.
the kingdom of God grows.
That's right.
And maybe
Yeah.
there's a father out there who's struggling to be a good husband, who's
Right.
struggling to be a good father, and through the ministry of a church in Kosciuszko that maybe
Yeah.
you and I don't know anything about,
Right.
through our giving, that man is able to hear
Yeah.
the gospel and to transform his family.
Yeah, no doubt.
And who knows the gospel threads that can be pulled from that.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. It's generational.
It's generational,
Right.
absolutely. And one of the things that I've learned about Bruce since I've been here is that there are so many gospel threads that I've found that the Lord has connected back to Bruce.
Mhm.
And that's like that everywhere because our God is masterfully orchestrating
Yeah.
His kingdom, and He's doing it through people like you, ordinary people.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I agree 100%. And, all of us don't realize in the moment how God's going to use the work that we're doing. Even, if we go on the mission field and we serve a week, we say, hey, we have no idea the fruit that's going to come from that seed that is planted, right? And so the same is true when we work together cooperatively.
Yeah.
There's a lot of men and women in our state that faithfully give each and every week, and they may not ever get to see the fruit from it. They might not ever get to see the production, and yet, right? We don't look for the fruit only. We
Right.
trust in the one that provides the fruit.
Yeah.
Right? I don't trust in Apollos. I don't trust in Paul. Right? I trust in the one that will bring the harvest,
That's
kind
right.
of thing.
Yeah.
And so that is what it means to be Mississippi Baptist. Really, it's to give and trust the God of the harvest,
Yeah.
that He's going to bring about a harvest in His time and in His way. And I can assure you that not only in the department that I get to sit on the sidelines and watch, but in all of those departments, and even North American Mission Board, International Mission Board, seminaries even, God certainly is continuing to bless the cooperative effort from 1921, to
Yeah.
which we are grateful that God in His sovereignty and provided men the wisdom to understand that was a good idea, and we continue to be blessed by that. So
Yeah, absolutely. So as we bring this kind of back to Bruce, Mississippi,
yeah,
we have men's ministry, which
Yeah.
you've already been instrumental in helping us as we seek to do a strategically disciple our
Yeah.
men, whether that's our deacons all the way down to our kids. But you
Right.
mentioned camps. Our kids have been to Central Hills several years
Yeah.
over the past few years, whether it be criminal justice or what was the fourth one now? I'm missing one. Chaplaincy.
Yeah, yeah.
How do we, if there's an area like that
Yeah.
we are interested in,
Sure.
how do we kind of get involved in that area?
Well, I'll say this. Dr. Parker, who's the Executive Director Treasurer of the Mississippi Baptist Convention, reminds us by a sign that he placed on all of our desks that say, how did you assist a local church today? So I'll say to begin with that we exist to assist a local church.
Yeah.
So not just my department, but any department. If you're talking about discipleship, Sunday school, whatever it might be, we exist for you to call us and say, "Hey, I need this from you,"
Right.
and we respond.
Yeah.
That's kind of why we're there. And so, if there is any ministry that's out there that you say, "Hey, I want to be a part of that," whether it be a local jail ministry or the prison ministry or even chaplain, there may be a chaplain in Bruce,
Yeah.
right, that doesn't know that we provide training and resourcing for that. So I would just say, hey, that's why we're there. So pick up the phone and call us, and we will respond as soon as we can, and be more than happy to help you in whatever way that we can. And that's, again, not just true of men's ministry, but it's true of the Mississippi Baptist Convention Board as well. I can give you my contact information if we can do that, and then of course you can find all of us at the Mississippi Baptist Convention website, which is mbcb.org. But we exist to assist the local church. That is why we are here. So call on us at any time, whether it be First Baptist Bruce people or any other pastor or layman from another church that happens to see this.
Absolutely, and I would say if you have any any particular heart for any of these ministries, and you want to know one way to get in contact with John, then please call the church office. We can get you in contact.
Yeah, sure.
One of the ways that our men have been influenced and enriched by your resourcing is the devotion that y'all put out.
Yeah,
the weekly
sure.
devotion.
Yeah.
We put those out thinking we'll have several left over, and you can't find one left over.
Yeah,
Everybody
sure.
grabbed them and took them home. Now, I
Yeah.
hope they read them.
Yeah, right.
That's always that second step, but at least
That's
they picked them up.
Yeah,
you know?
sure.
So here's my question. I heard this, and I want to confirm whether it's true or not.
Oh, no.
I heard that at one point Central Hills had the world's largest horse.
That is true, according to the tale.
Is that the claim?
That is the claim, that we had the largest horse. His name was Goliath.
Of course.
Is that right?
That's
I
it.
think
That's
so.
it. Yeah.
His name was
That's
Goliath. There are pictures of him at Central Hills that says it was the world's largest horse. Actually, we have pictures in my office of him in the parade at Jackson. They brought him to Jackson to parade in the parade, and he has a placard on his side that says world's largest horse. I'm not sure if Guinness ever came, but it was the claim they made anyway. So
I love it.
I don't know where Goliath is right now. Actually, we probably should have buried him and put up a big monument or something. You know.
Well, I know that horse riding is one of those things that our kids love.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Central Hills.
Yeah,
That's one of those.
Yeah, Central
things.
Hills offers a unique opportunity of activities that a lot of kids these days certainly don't get the opportunity to.
That's right.
And so horse riding being one of those.
Well, here's part of the reason why I wanted John to come and speak to us and do this video and even come and speak to our church tonight.
Yeah.
And this is the reason why there is a great need in Mississippi. There's a great lostness. We probably have the nickname of the belt buckle of the Bible Belt, right? Yeah. But even in the midst of Calhoun County, there is lostness.
Yeah, sure.
There are people that do not know Jesus and have never placed their trust in Him. We know that.
Yeah.
And we ought to know that. We ought to feel that deeply.
Yeah.
But here's something we also need to know. We need to balance that truth, that stark reality, with the equal and more powerful truth that the gospel of Jesus Christ is going forward.
That's right.
And that every single day, through the work of ordinary people like you watching this video, like the folks at our church, God is blessing and God is bringing growth.
Yeah.
Jesus tells the parable of the kingdom that's like a mustard seed, and it's planted, and yet when it comes to fruition, it's a great tree in which the birds can even make their nest in.
Right, that's right.
The gospel is growing. The kingdom may look small right now, but darkness will not win.
That's absolutely right. Yeah, you know, statistics say about 2/3 of Mississippians are lost. That's their best guesstimate, which is probably shocking to some people, but 2/3 is a pretty solid statistic, and so. You're right. The church that has been faithful to the proclamation of the gospel has always seen fruit.
Absolutely.
And you look to the book of Acts and see that their purpose was proclaim the gospel, and they saw a harvest from it. So sometimes I think we make things overly complicated when the mission is really pretty simple. It's go be my witness, go make disciples, that sort of thing. So it is moving forward, and in the darkest places, God shines His light the brightest. So.
Absolutely. Well, John, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you at home for tuning in. Just know that we here love you, and we're praying for you, and we'll see you again next week.